Let's kick it off.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into a very, very special episode of Teague's Take as we are previewing the traditional Tuesday night football with the NFL as the matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens, the long-delayed and long-awaited matchup between the Ravens and the Cowboys. Alongside the normal crew of George Teague and JT, I am IndyCar Tim, and we've got a special analyst joining us for this show. He's a friend of the show. He's been on before. It is Coach Clancy Pendergast. How are you tonight, Coach?
I'm doing great, man. I sure appreciate you guys having me back on.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you back. You gave us such a wealth of knowledge and all the knowledge bombs last time. We thought we'd have you back and you could teach us some more stuff. Perfect. So welcome back, George. This was your idea. You wanted to preview this game. Is there any specific reason you picked this game to preview other than the fact that it's a kind of a weird midweek Tuesday?
Well, there's actually a couple of reasons. One is the weird week Tuesday kind of thing just fell right in our lap to be able to talk about the game beforehand, because we have talked about that in the past about trying to do some pregame analyst type of stuff. So this gives us a good run, and hopefully after our feedback, if people are giving us the likes and the comments and all that kind of stuff, will probably be something we'll continue with. But anytime the second piece was, and I thought it would be an outstanding piece, although we have a lot of different topics to talk about tonight during this pregame show, it is always interesting to me when you're dealing with teams that have running quarterbacks. It's kind of known in the NFL that you got to stop the run. I think we've been hearing that forever, ever since I was a young person. Stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. And then they add another runner with the quarterbacks. So I needed to jump into that really, really quick. And Clancy, we want to get into some – I want to say that, we want the high-level stuff from you, right? Because as your stint as defensive coordinator in college and in the pros, you've had to face all different type of quarterbacks, those that just sit in the pocket and throw, and those that run on both levels. So what is the difference in trying to teach how to stop a zone read for your defensive ends and your linebackers, when you got someone like Lamar Thomas, who's their leading rusher, going to play against our Cowboys tonight?
Well, there's two different rules of thought, I think. If you want to cancel gaps in front of the linebackers and dedicate a linebacker to fall back, so to speak, to the side of where the quarterback is going to come out, which generally is to the side of where the offset back is. That way you can play with an extra, a safety in the post and still play some pass defense type coverages, or you can play 11 on 11 and put, the post safety, so to speak, with his eyes on the quarterback to which side he might come out. So there's two different ways where you can play him, I think, and he's obviously reading that in man on line of scrimmage, and I use the term DEA, which is the edge player or whoever that he potentially is going to be reading. He's going to be looking at the demeanor of the edge player. He's going to be reading the eyes of the edge player, and he's going to see what kind of athlete he is. And then they'll have their game plan set up off those three things to decide where they want to run the football. And so, if the edge man on the line of scrimmage is going to be doing what I call a surf technique, which is where his shoulders are square, he's sliding down the line of scrimmage, that quarterback is probably that the demeanor of that player is going to tell the quarterback to hand the ball off. Now, if you crash that defensive player, then that's going to tell the quarterback to probably pull the ball and then take it out on the perimeter.
Is there a certain kind of fit specifically for the Cowboys? Would we rather have a defensive end? Does it matter the type of running quarterback? Meaning what I want to say. Does it matter?
Your edge player, you want to be have him fairly athletic where he can change direction and redirect in a short area to get his hands on the quarterback. But if you that's what I'm talking about when the A of the DEA is athleticism. And if you got a 290-pound guy playing defensive end, then that's going to be a mismatch, and that will tell that quarterback to potentially pull the ball out and keep it as well.
Do you think offense, or I guess as a defense, do you usually come into these kind of situations deciding how if you're going to force the handoff every time, or if you're going to force the pull every time?
Yeah, I mean, you want to change it up to where that quarterback's got to take different looks. And, we use the term, Indian and outlaw, which that's a defensive end talking to a linebacker telling him, if I make an Indian call, then I'm going to crash. And if I make an outlaw call, that means I'm going to stay outside and take the quarterback. So you got to have different ways to change the perimeter within your different defensive calls to keep the quarterback guessing.
Does that call typically come in with the defensive call, or is it something that you teach the linebackers or the defensive end to make once they're on the field?
Well, I usually try to change it up, George, by series. Say, hey, if you're to the side of the offset back, let's go with Indian calls this series.
Okay.
And give the players the freedom to change it by series, and then depending on who you're working with and how much you trust them. Just like we trusted you a lot to make some coverage adjustments for us in Dallas, George. If you got players you can trust to make good decisions, then once they get comfortable with it, you can go ahead and let them make those decisions within a series as well.
Okay, so the Cowboys defense has gotten a little bit better, but do you – and I'm specifically talking about the run and stopping their running game, because the Ravens are averaging, when you look at the total deal, they're averaging 160 yards a game rushing.
Wow.
Do we need to – is there ever a time when in the program, when you're drawing up your scheme that you say, we're going to stop the run, we're going to make them throw, we're going to make Lamar Jackson beat us with his arm? Do you think the Cowboys will try to do that tonight, where they're just going to load the box and dare Lamar Jackson to throw the ball?
Well, I think you got to pick your poison, and you got to take something away. And I would think, you try to make them one-dimensional and have them force you to try to beat you throwing the football. Get them in obvious passing situations where, you don't have to worry about the quarterback running the ball when it's 2nd and 15, 2nd and 12. Now, he might scramble, but the design quarterback runs are more of a first down, 2nd and 1 to 5 situation, and when most teams use those. But if you can keep them in those second longer situations by stopping the run on first down and getting them in negative situations, then you can get them in some obvious pass situations and try to force them to play left-handed.
Yeah. So JT and Tim, what do you guys think about that with their rushing? They got 3 rushers. I'm not sure who's crackling, if that's Clancy.
I think it's Clancy
or not. Your mic. If there's with 3 guys almost with 5 yards of carry, that's pretty substantial when you're talking about running the game. Lamar Jackson has the most yards and the best run per attempt or yardage per attempt. Gus Edwards with over 4 yards. J.K. Dobbins still over with 5. So do you really – how do you guys feel about this? Do you think that we got the tools necessary with our front 6 or 7 to be able to slow that run game down? Tim, you can go first.
Well, if I was a defensive coordinator, and by the way, no one has ever mistaken me to be a defensive coordinator. Let me preface this by saying that I would rather try to make Lamar Jackson beat you with his arm rather than his legs at this point. I think he's struggled a little bit this year in his passing game with his accuracy and hitting targets. So I would try to go that route if I'm the Cowboys, but then the question is, do you have the manpower to do that? Do you have the players on that defensive line to close up the pocket there and to contain him in the pocket? And I don't think they do. So I'm almost. We'll get into our predictions a little bit later on the show, but I see this could be a really ugly game for the Cowboys defense, especially when you've got two of your starting defensive backs out, and you've really got a couple of guys from the practice squad. They're going to be back there trying to cover the receiver core. But to me, you want Lamar Jackson to throw the ball. I think that's your best chance to win. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
So, JT, do you think our defensive ends, based upon what Coach Pendergast was saying, are our defensive ends agile enough, athletic enough to be able to box Lamar in if he pulls it? Or you think we're going to try to put Van Der Esch and Jalen and Sean Lee on the quarterback and hope they can tackle him?
Well, I do think that for the most part, our defensive ends are athletic enough. I would say that Aldon Smith is probably the best one to handle that. However, I don't think he's playing. I think he's out. So that leaves Randy Gregory and Tank. I think Tank can handle it. I think Randy Gregory has the potential to as well, but I'm not sure. However, Jalen Smith having that role, that's the one that scares me the most of all the options that you gave me. I'd rather have Van Der Esch do it. I think he's a better open field tackler than Jalen Smith is. But I do think that our ends should be good enough to do their job.
Okay. So, hey, Clancy, so I'm curious to hear about when you're looking at stats, your defensive stats or rankings, what are the really key ones? Because right now the Cowboys are ranked 31st against run defense, 31st, and you're going up against a team like this that's ranked 8th, I guess, or higher in rush yards. So when you're planning and you're trying to, project the future, what is the most important statistics, maybe the top 2 or 3 that you really look at as a defensive coordinator, say we have to be good in these 2 or 3 areas?
Yeah, I would say number one is points allowed. That's the name of the game, is you're trying to have more points than the opponent. I think third down efficiency is obviously very important, because if you're getting them in third and 8+, for example, then you're winning on first down, because you're making it second and 10, second and 9. You're stopping them on second down. Now you're getting them in third down situations where you can get them off the field. And then the other one that I think is huge is red zone defense. What are your statistics in the red zone? Because obviously that's going to affect scoring when they're down in the red area.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really good, because I didn't know if you actually really looked at when it gets in the yardage. Basically, is that where the bend don't break stuff comes in? As long as they don't score points, we're going to be good. That sounds like
no doubt.
Yeah, why not?
Don't let them score and create turnovers. But like you mentioned earlier in the show, George, I mean, every week the first thing you're looking at is, okay, how are we going to stop the run? How good a running team are they? Why are their rush yards good? Because you want to be able to play complementary football. Is how good is their defense? How good is their offense? What kind of game is it going to take to, how you envision the game playing out because of the other side of the ball, strengths and weaknesses? I think is very important too. Is it going to be a game where the other team's defense blitzes a lot and creates a lot of turnovers, where there could be some short fields? I mean, those are all things that I like to take a look at too. Not only the offense we're going up against, but what kind of defense do they have as well?
Okay, so I know we've been spending a lot of time talking about our defense and the Ravens offense. But what about on the flip side? We got an offensive line that's hurt and banged up, and the Ravens defense has been very, very good this year, or one of the tops in the league. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about Zeke and those guys a little bit later. But what I kind of want to hear the difference in. Do you think the Ravens are going to have the same kind of mindset? Stop Zeke, stop the run. Are they going to load the box on us and make us throw the ball? Even though I don't know if that's the best idea or not, but I'm just curious to see what you think might happen in the game tonight. Do they try to stop our run and dare them to throw it, or the other way around?
I think you got to come into the game anytime you're playing the Cowboys. You got to take care of Zeke and try to control the running game, which I think they've gotten better as the seasons went along. But he's one of the strengths of the offense, and so you got to take him away first, and then obviously don't allow the play action passes over the top off that running game. Would be the first two areas I'd probably look at to try to slow down the Cowboys.
Yeah. So before we hit about those play action passes, can you talk to us a little bit about the differences? And I'm not sure if our viewers really know the differences when we talk about the different types of blitzes. We know that there are blitzes that you will call, or maybe you call them pressures or something else, when it is truly a run blitz versus a pass blitz. So do you feel like that if you know that people's offensive linemen are hurt, are you more prone as a defensive coordinator to call blitzes because it's harder for those newer guys to pick up the stunts and understand who they got to have? And then, just give us the mindset of what a run blitz is versus a pass blitz. What are the differences?
Yeah, right. I mean, you're going to take a look at what the team's favorite, and once you identify what those runs are, then you're going to try to take advantage of them to try to create those tackles for loss. And you're going to either bring pressure to the open side if they like to run to the open side, or you're going to bring it to the tight end side, or the team likes to run to the tight.
I think you might have froze up on us.
Maybe attacking a protection when it's a pure passing type situation. So I've always referred to them as pressures are designed to go up against a run, and then blitzes are more. The term blitz is used more for protection.
Got it. I think we're missing. Is he back? Yes. Okay. So you break up on us a little bit with him. So just be patient with us if you can't hear us either, Clancy. You're going in and out of this just a little bit. Okay. So what about you two guys when it comes to our offensive line? Do we got enough to
what's cracking?
Yeah, I don't know why it's crackling either. But so JT and Tim, the Ravens defense have 14 guys that have sacks. 14.
Wait, so that means they've got basically their entire defense plus 3 people
and some others. They got 14 guys that have sacks. So what just here they got 21 forced fumbles, 11 of those they've recovered. So they're a pretty aggressive kind of deal. We're talking about the corners are blitzing, the safeties are blitzing, the linebackers are blitzing. Everyone's got their hands in their sack jar. So when we don't have the linemen, what do we got to do to combat that if we're anticipating that they might be bringing the heat to either stop the run or just try to make Andy Dalton get rid of the ball? What do you guys think?
You gotta go with the old. You gotta go with the Tom Brady method. The ball's got to be out in less than 2 seconds. You got to be able to snap, catch, throw, take the easy stuff, quick outs, slants, hitches, and get them off of you. As long as you can pick up 4 yards of play, you're gonna score. But if you got Andy Dalton back there tap dancing in the pocket, then we might see, I don't know, I'm not going to say 8 sacks because that's kind of ridiculous, but somewhere between 4 and 6 might be feasible because, I mean, if you're running games with the line, right, You've got a line, like you said, that's beat up. They've been shifting all over the place. Nobody's in the position they started in. So now you got to deal with stunts up front. You got to deal with potential DNs dropping into coverage so that a corner can come in, and you got an undrafted rookie on one tackle side, and he's gonna have to deal with who knows what corner blitzes, safety blitzes, linebacker blitzes, the guy in front of him just disappearing and ducking inside. Maybe he's going outside and you got somebody looping back in. I mean, I don't see how we get out of this with less than 3 sacks given up.
You keep going down. You started with 8. Now you're going down to 3. But I get it. So do you see, Tim, what do you see? Are we going to be running? Is Zeke going to get his carries and screens? Are we going to be trying to be ready for these overload blitzes and have him slip out and hope he can pop one? What do you think?
I'll tell you what I see. I see a defense that is licking their chops tonight against a depleted offensive line, against a running back that used to be a top-tier running back in the league, but now not so much anymore, who's developed a fumbling issue this year. And you just happen to be a defense that causes the most fumbles in the league. And you got a backup quarterback starting who struggled mightily in his last game, which, by the way, was Thanksgiving Day. So they've had some time off. That was going to be a question I had for Coach a little bit later. Who does the time off for the Cowboys benefit more, the Cowboys or the Ravens? But we'll get into that a little bit. But now I just see a defense that's going to tee off tonight.
Both of their corners are a problem between Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. They're turnover machines.
Yeah.
Marcus Peters taking stuff out of the air, and Marlon Humphrey just stripping the ball anytime he has a chance.
Yep. So I mean I just see a defense that JT predicted no less than 3 sacks. I'm probably going with 5. If they get to Dalton early and they pressure him early, it's going to be a long, long night.
Well, I think you guys may be on to something here. We'll see. But, let's come back and talk a little bit more after that. Let's take a short break. We'll come back with Clancy. Let him see what he thinks about Dez Bryant. And is Dez Bryant going to try to torch our guys tonight because he just feels hungry about trying to do something to his former team, and talk about some of these injuries you got in the secondary as well, because Clancy coached those defensive backs as well. I probably need to give you some of those stories in the meeting room of Clancy getting after us a little bit. So we'll return here shortly. Let's take a little short break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens.
ProfoundSites.com for your personal and commercial needs. Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com.
Hey, sports and sports memorabilia fans, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about our new friend Chris Gordon over at the Cowboy House, cowboyhousesports.com on the web. Now, Chris is super passionate about all sports, and that's why the Cowboy House is so much more than just a Dallas Cowboy sports memorabilia store. He's got unique game-used memorabilia and rare, hard-to-find autographs for teams across the globe. Everything from the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, golf, UFC, soccer, Olympics, even from Hollywood and the political sector. And his store isn't just a fancy mall store. It's more of a man cave that he likes to share with his friends and customers. Come on into the store at 209 South Shady Shores Drive, Suite 200 in Lake Dallas, and you can walk on the Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in a chair from Yankee Stadium or Texas Rangers Globe Life Park. Check out hundreds of autographed jerseys from hundreds of teams. Check out thousands of photos signed with certificates of authenticity. He's also got custom framing for all of your sports memorabilia items. Chris Gordon over at CowboyHouseSports.com, 214-551-5978. Thank you, Cowboy House.
Need a one-stop shop for Cowboys news happening over at the Star in Frisco? Click on over to CowboysSI.com, featuring Mike Fisher with 30 years experience covering America's team. It's the most popular of all Sports Illustrated sites and home to the Cowboys Blitzcast podcast. CowboysSI.com is the place to get inside your Cowboys. With such a talented team of writers and reporters over there, you'll always know the latest about personnel and roster moves, salary cap issues, and draft class status. Click on over to CowboysSI.com and get the inside scoop on America's team.
3R Sports Graphics. Hello, everybody. You've probably seen the graphics that are out on social media every week that announce the guest for Teague's Take for that week, as well as their credentials listed there on the graphic as well. Those come from our good friend Tyler Sanders over at 3R Sports Graphics. Now, he only works for schools, so we need to mention that. Some of his proud schools are Liberty Christian, Parish Episcopal, Legacy Christian, and Fort Worth Christian. These are custom graphics for your school's athletic department. Hire Tyler Sanders and 3R Sports Graphics, and you will work one-on-one with a graphic designer. You will get final score graphics the night of the game, unlimited graphics with a 1-year contract, and you can fulfill the sports information director role of a school, but for a fraction of the cost. And he will handle this for you every week. He puts it out on social media for you as well. He handles that. Give Tyler Sanders a call with 3R Sports Graphics, 713-933-9767, or you can shoot him an email, tsanders2405@gmail.com. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics, on Twitter at 3R Sports and the number 1. And check out his Twitter feed. He's got all of the examples. You can scroll through his feed and look at all of the graphics as he's done for everybody. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics. Give him a call now. Thank you, Tyler. Welcome back to the George Teague's Take podcast, Dallas Cowboys pregame show alongside George and JT. I'm IndyCar Tim. Coach Pendergast is with us tonight. We've been talking about the defense for both sides. We've been discussing possible strategies, how the offenses might look. Let's get into a little Dez talk, if you guys don't mind, shortly. Of course, just coming on board with the Ravens after 2 years out of the league. He's got a grand total in 3 games of 4 catches, 28 yards, no touchdowns. So my question, and I'll tell you, I'll be real honest. He signed with my Saints, of course, before the playoffs last year. Never played. Had the Achilles injury. He was out this season until the Ravens decided to take a shot at him. It's always been my opinion that he's just done. With his age, with the Achilles injury, I was really shocked when somebody gave him a chance. Although, of course, I wish the best for him. Do you guys think he's a threat for the Cowboys or anybody going into this season? How do you think he's going to perform?
You're muted up, JT.
Oh,
There you go.
bad. He's a threat to the Cowboys. Everybody is
Come on,
the Cowboys. The Browns running back they pulled off a fisherman's boat ran for 1 billion yards. He's still running on the Cowboys. Everybody is a threat to the Cowboys.
Oh man, you can't do that.
He ain't got no corners.
Somebody's not a Cowboys fan tonight.
Anthony Brown's
All
out.
year.
Diggs is out. Donovan Wilson's out. So now you got Darian Thompson, who has to be leading the league in most touchdowns given up. And Xavier Woods ain't gonna cover nobody because remember, he doesn't want to play. He is physically incapable of trying for 60 plays out in a game. And Cheeto is the last man standing. I don't even know who the other corner is going to be. Jordan Lewis. I think
Jordan Lewis probably.
I hope for his sake that I think they will end up shutting him down. I don't think he'll get shut down because our corners are playing well. I think it's going to be a mix of they're not going to be able to get him the ball. So I think
So to answer the question, I think Tim, when he says there's a threat, now I don't think he's a threat to us, and I'm saying that because I think Andrews is going to be a threat, and I think Marquise Brown is going to be a threat, and not so much Dez. Will Dez get some catches that they're probably going to try to force him the ball just because, yes, it's almost like that when you get traded or cut or released. You're talking to the quarterback, tell him, give me the ball, give me the ball. Will they try to get him a touchdown? Probably. But I don't know how I don't think he can run as good as some of these other guys that they have. So I don't think he's the number one guy that we have to worry about.
If he's going to get a touchdown this season, it's going to be tonight, though. Yeah, back shoulder fade in the end zone.
Do you think they'll throw it to him as opposed to and so maybe that's something, I don't – how do you predict that? But I still think if they're down in the red zone and it's close, they're just going to try to run the ball. And what's the name's going to try to pull it and get into the end zone, maybe, or throw it to the tight end. But I guess in my mind, Dez is a second tight end, in my opinion, just a little bit better than them, but he's not. He's a little bit – okay, is he better than Jason Witten right now? Is he better than Jason Witten right now? Yes.
Yes.
No.
That's a yes and that's a no. So
and Jason Witten ain't nothing, so that tells you about it.
I guess that means we know how you feel about that. Welcome back, Clancy. Clancy, look like you're moving all around the house, man. Where you at now?
I'm trying to get a good connection for you, man. I think I got it figured out now.
This is good.
Yeah, no, you sound good, man. I appreciate it. So tell me what you do, Clancy. We got some secondary guys hurt, man. We got some starters down. Both the starting cornerbacks going down. You got a safety that came in to take a spot who's hurt now. How you go in the game terrified and scared, man, when you got 2 or 3 starters down, even against a subpar throwing offense? Are you worried about that as a defensive coordinator when your secondary is all banged up, with a team like the Ravens?
Yeah, I think, situationally, you got to probably protect them a little bit. That's why, like I mentioned earlier in the show, it's so important to win on first down to where you can get them in some obvious passing situations and play some coverage where, you can give those corners some help over the top with some safeties. But, you've got to eliminate what their strength is, and that's running the football, and take that away. And, those guys got to earn their check out there, on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and before we go any further, this Ophelia Perez, if you can hear me and you're still listening, I got your comment out here, but please tell me if you are good friends with Clara Russell. Please let me know if this is the same Ophelia. If just give me a yes or no in there, and I'll tell you what's up. If you are,
there can't be that many Ophelias, right?
I don't think so, but it would be interesting. Okay, so Clancy, a lot of the conversation I've been having with different people is about technique and what the secondary and all that kind of stuff. Not trying to talk about what coaches are teaching people and not teaching them, because I don't want to get into a debate of who's the best coach and all that kind of stuff. But I would like to know that when you're coming into a camp, and particularly a year like this, COVID, maybe you don't get enough one-on-ones, you don't have a training camp, you don't have all that kind of stuff. What should have been, or what is the most important part that you're trying to teach your corners? Are you working on man-to-man technique, press, or is it off, or is it the zone coverages, or playing the ball? What are the top things you're trying to get out of your secondary guys, especially now with the rule changes and a COVID year?
Yeah, I mean, you got to start. I think first and foremost, you got to start with playing off, because you can't be pressed all the time. And so, you're looking at making sure, teaching the corners to read 3-step to number one, and how they're going to drive on the wide receiver's route. So, you're going to key to the quarterback and priff the receiver and see if the quarterback goes 3 steps, or does he continue past 3 steps and goes into a 5 to 7 step drop. And I think once you can master that playing off, then you can go ahead and crowd the line of scrimmage and obviously teach the cornerbacks some form of press type technique. And I think what's lost a lot which is a good secret in terms of how to play corner, is really knowing where you're at on the field in terms of your depth and yards off of the receiver, because most routes are going to break off at 12 yards. So having that feel, whether you're playing off or playing pressed, as you're in a coverage situation with the wide receiver, it's important to know where that 12 yards is, because if the route does go past 3-step and it's not a quick throw, then if you're a corner, your hips better be open at 12 yards, because if the wide receiver's even with you, he's leaving you. So I think it's important to know where you're at on the field in terms of depth, just like the depth perception of the safety, where he's at based on the coverage in the back part of the field.
Man, shoot, I love it. It always gets me excited just hearing about defensive back play and coveraging, because I feel the same. I'm hoping that shoot, man, when you get back in the league and you start teaching these DBs how to play, because although there are some very, very good DBs, I want to say it's a bad thing around the league. There are some defensive backs that I think aren't being taught to play well, whether that's how you look and lean and try to catch the ball, how to clue what you're talking about, the quarterbacks. I mean, JT and Tim, I think we're all sitting on this show one game. I don't remember what game it was, but I know I tweeted out immediately, if I see another corner that doesn't backpedal when he's playing man-to-man at least a little bit, trying to clue, and the wide receiver ran flat past Diggs because he's standing there flat-footed at 10 yards. It was just disheartening for me, and I just think we got to do a better job of
and I think along those lines too, one of the things I really enjoyed about working with the secondary is there's so many different things you can teach because of the splits of receivers relative to the numbers, the splits of the receiver relative to a hash mark. When there's two receivers in what we call, as you know, George, a bunch formation, which is two or more receivers inside the numbers, you can dictate a lot just off recognition of what kind of routes you're probably going to get, based on where the receiver lines up, and then you take that into account. What's the receiver's stem? Is it a straight or inside stem, which is probably going to meet an inside breaking route, or is it a straight, widened, width of a stem? It's probably going to mean an outside breaking route. So there's just so many things within the secondary, because there's so much room on the field that the teaching's endless in terms of the things you can work with defensive back play.
Man, yeah, you said it. Don't give us enough credit back there in the backfield in the defensive backs on JT, because you had to do it both, wide receivers and DB. JT, what do you think? Which one is more difficult to learn, wide receiver or a defensive back? Which one takes more skill?
Whoa, let's see. Okay, those are two different questions. Which one is more difficult to learn versus which one takes more skill? I think there are two different answers.
Well, answer both.
I think it is more difficult to learn receiver because, at least in the offense that I played in, everything was an option route, and we had, you couldn't just know, X receiver. You couldn't just know like what am I supposed to do when I'm lined up wide, because what we would do would be to, whether we were in trips or doubles or twins or whatever, if I found myself having to motion towards the inside, that I had to know what that route was, and I had to know all the options that came with that route depending on the defense. So just as the quarterback is trying to decipher what coverage you're running as a receiver, I also had to decipher what coverage we're running, and I better be right, because if I wasn't right, that's how you get interceptions thrown, because you're deciding that you're not going to break off a route, and your quarterback is like, you should have broke that off, and he hits a linebacker in the face because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. Now, I do think that playing defensive back takes a little bit more skill because, one, you're going backwards. It's always hard to do anything backwards. You spend your entire life going forwards, and then for 3 hours out of your life on a weekend. Now you have to do everything backwards. But you also don't know what's coming up, right? So at least as a receiver, I knew at least what my three options were, whether I was supposed to be running a 6x1, a comeback, a post, or whatever. I knew a lot of times, even pre-snap, just like where I'm supposed to be going. And as a defensive back, you don't know. You might know that you're supposed to be man-to-man with this guy, but you have no idea where he's going, especially since he has all kinds of options. Because a lot of times as a receiver, if I read that as man-to-man, we had something that was called a post out. And the route was really this: run a post. If you think you can beat him, beat him. If you can't beat him, stop and just run it out instead. So, it was designed for the defensive back to always be wrong. And as a defensive back, you have to be able to change direction oftentimes better than a receiver, because he knows where he's going and you don't. So you have to have that eye discipline. You've got to have the footwork. You've got to be able to keep your feet under you. You got to be able to stay low. All the while, at least being in NFL, not touching anybody either.
Mm-hmm. Well, what position did you play, Tim? When you played back in the day?
Flag football, defensive back, and wide receiver, sir.
Flag football?
I don't know about y'all.
Oh, man. Okay, so tell us then, why is, or how can, because we've been so negative about them today, what do the Cowboys have to do to win this game tonight? Is there any chance they're an 8.5 point underdog? Is there any chance the Cowboys can pull this game out tonight? What do they got to do to win?
They have to turn the ball over. They have to turn the Ravens over. And they have to and they cannot turn the ball over on offense. I mean, it seems simple, but apparently that's a hard thing to do for our offense, is not to hand the other team points. Because I think they can probably hold the Ravens to. So I guess I should go ahead and say this: the over/under is like 46 right now, and if I would have seen this earlier, I definitely would have put money on the under. I don't think there's any way that there's being 46 points scored here. Could be wrong. Who knows? But I don't have faith in the Ravens offense all that much either. But if the Cowboys can figure out how not to give the ball away, no pick sixes, don't turn the ball over in your own red zone. Stop doing fake punts.
No fake punts
on your own 30. Like if we can eliminate those things and put together long drives and shorten the game, I think the Cowboys can pull this off.
All right.
So I question what kind of shape the Ravens are in right now. They're just getting back Lamar Jackson. They've still got players that are trickling in after missing time. It's on an ugly 3-game losing streak, and it's got a passing game that can't get going, ground attack that hasn't been its normal self. So, I mean, we know the Cowboys are struggling too, and they were terrible against Washington last time on Thanksgiving. But they've had a lot of rest. And I'm thinking that the Cowboys being off since Thanksgiving will play to their advantage. Baltimore's had 6 days. So if the Cowboys are going to win, it's going to be because of rest. And because of that, they will be more urgent. They'll have a sense of urgency. Like JT said, they've got to win the tournament battle, and they've got to get up early.
Mm-hmm. You agree with that, Clancy? What's the success? What do Cowboys need to do to win this game?
Well, I think the time off, because this is a unique offense that you're trying to prepare for, the extra practice time with, because you don't face a team that has all the design quarterback runs every single week. So having more time to prepare and for the players to get more familiar with the offensive structure that Baltimore presents, I think is definitely plays into their favor, other than, a normal week where you get a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice, and then you're traveling on Saturday. So this is going to give them more time to really get a good look at what the Ravens like to do offensively. So I think it, kind of played in the Cowboys' hands a little bit to where they do have more time to prepare for this team.
Hey, so we do have breaking news here. It came up on the screen. Somebody commented on it. Marcus Jones says Dez just tested positive for COVID. So I did a little message my buddy Nick Eaton over at DallasCowboys.com, and he confirmed that Dez has been scratched from the lineup tonight because of an illness, in quotes. So no Dez tonight.
Well, there you go, Clara. No X's going up tonight, baby. No, sir. It ain't happening. But, man, I'm sorry to hear that. So, do we know it? Did Andrews come off the list, the tight end? I didn't look at the report to see if their tight end actually came off the list of COVID.
I didn't see his name on the list, but that doesn't mean anything.
Hold on. What you say, Swallow?
No, he didn't come off.
Oh, Swallow said he didn't come off. So, well, then that could be another reason. If you're just dealing with Marquise, they don't have enough firepower. If you don't have a Dez, you don't have – because I don't know. I just don't know if they got enough people to throw the ball to that they're really going to have to try to run it. And I think we'll be able to stop the run. Listen to Clara.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Well, Clara, all I got to say is you lost to Consuelo in fantasy football again. So, anyway, okay. So, we talked about what the Cowboys have to do to win. Vice versa. It may sound easy. Maybe it's just totally opposite, but what are now that we know they're going to be down, what are the Ravens going to have to do to win this game? Is it purely just running the ball? I mean, that sounds kind of boring, but what if they can't run the ball? What do they got to do to win, JT?
All they have to do is do what they've been doing all year, which is run the ball, turn the ball over. If they can cause the turnovers at the rate that they have been turning teams over, this game will not be close, because I've seen enough of the Ravens to see how many times they pick up a fumble and just take it to the house. Like this, this could be one of those games where the Ravens could have a completely dreadful offense and still put up 21 points without even fielding their offense. If Zeke can't hold on to the ball, and if they can get enough pressure on Dalton to just kind of have him throwing it up and hoping that our receivers make a play.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to have some issues because I think they're going to establish a run, and I feel like we can stop their run or at least slow it down some. I mean, they're going to have a lot of rushing yards because they're going to run the ball a lot, right? The percentages just of the amount of runs they're going to have. But I think it could create a problem in the secondary, even if I know they're thin. I'm hearing you, Marcus Jones, that they're just thin in the secondary. But that guy, that Marquise guy, if he's still playing, that dude got some wheels, man. And if we got young guys, back there that can't cover, don't know when to turn, and we're running and all this play action, they handing the ball to Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins and whatever, and they take one over the top, man, I don't know who we got that can stop Marquise from catching, 2 or 3 40-yard bombs. Maybe I should be a little bit more optimistic about it, but I just don't see it. I'm not very optimistic about that, especially when you got young guys in there or people that really don't know how to play man-to-man. So that's a tough one for me, So we know the game's going to be kicking off in another 15 minutes. We need to take one more break here before we go, and then we want to come back because some of you guys are still setting your fantasy lineups and trying to figure out how to win this game with all this COVID going on. You got a Tuesday night game. Let's see if we can tell you guys who the fantasy player to watch is going to be, and then we'll give you our picks on who's going to win this game tonight. We'll be back shortly. Thank you, guys.
Increase time inside your home, noticing all the little things needing attention? Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all of your home repair needs. They do it all: electrical, plumbing, drywall, painting, and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs, like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job too big or small. Repair Resource does it all. Call them at 972-415-1198 or visit them online at www.repair-resource.com.
Hey, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas. It's North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. With all of the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. And of course, on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., you'll find Teague's Take broadcasting live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in 972-492-7500 or on the web at themaverickbar.com.
Meat Church. Do you need to take your barbecue and grilling game to the next level? Check out the great line of products from Meat Church Barbecue. From seasoning and rubs to full-blown recipes like pork belly burnt ends, smoked queso, beef ribs to smoked bologna, and Texas-style brisket. Meat Church has what you need. If your barbecue and grilling game is lacking, check out their barbecue classes and events. They'll help you raise your game to impress your friends and family. If you're in the Waxahachie area, please check out their store at 205 West College Street or give them a call at 214-980-1063 or head on over to meatchurch.com for the locations near you where all their great products are available. Or order directly from them online at meatchurch.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the George Teague's Take podcast, Dallas Cowboys pregame show. We've been previewing the matchup against the Ravens tonight on Tuesday Night Football. It pains me almost even to just say that because it's so unusual. We want to especially say thanks to Coach Clancy Pendergast for joining us on the broadcast tonight and giving us some insight and some inside information about how he would handle this offense for the Ravens. And I have no doubt in my mind that it would be better than what they got going on right now. I'm telling you right now. No question.
Yes, sir. You know, Clancy has done a tremendous job with everywhere he's been. Always has the top defenses, whether in college or in the pros. He's always had improvements. I'm rooting for my guy to get back in. I know he's sitting there counting his chips, as we say. He got that old them big guaranteed contracts, and he's sitting out there in California. He might not want to get off the beach or whatever, but I sure am hoping that he gets another chance somewhere as those jobs keep opening up, that, you know, someone puts his name in the hat and get Clancy back out there, because when you just listen to him, you can tell the knowledge that he has about how to run defenses, all secondary, linebackers, and the front. It's absolutely amazing. So we do appreciate you, Clancy. Clancy, do you play fantasy football? Yeah. Do you play fantasy football, brother? Well, I see a lot of trash talk going on in the comments over here.
No, I don't.
and Tim doesn't either, but I see JT and Mr. Mahaya talking a little bit of trash about their fantasy football league. So what's going on over here, JT? What's up with you and Mahaya?
Yeah, so we're in a fantasy league. It's me and a couple of buddies from high school that I played football with, and I am actually playing Mark this week, and he asked who he should play at flex, Dobbins or Lamb, and my response for those who can't see is that you better play Jesus because he's not beating me. Although in this league we are both terrible. I'm like 4-8 and he's 3-9. I do have a lead of 130.5 to like 81. So this one's not close. It doesn't matter who he plays. Whoever he picks is not going for 60 points. But for those who do have this dilemma, my pick was J.K. Dobbins. I think that his opportunities will be aplenty. They are going to try to feed J.K. Dobbins, even though it's a running back by committee. This could devolve into something like the Browns, where it's just like, as long as you are in the backfield at some point, the dam might burst and he might get his. I'm afraid of what, not that Lamb can't handle it. I'm just afraid that we're not actually going to be able to get the ball to him. He might get some receptions, but I think they might be short. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get Lamb down the field and hit him on some of those bigger plays that he's been picking up.
So is this your fantasy player to watch? If we said if you got someone that just who are we looking at for you today on either side? Is it J.K. Dobbins or is it someone else?
No, my pick would be Dobbins, because like I said, even though they do have a running back by committee, Mark Ingram has shown not to actually be part of that committee very much anymore. I think if you're gonna play a running back, you want them playing the Cowboys recently. I guess actually this whole year, this is what you want. You want them playing the Cowboys. But my sleeper would be Hollywood Brown. I think that he's been quiet. He's been vocal to his coaching staff saying that, hey, I want to get the ball. I want him to get the ball more, or he wants to get the ball more. But
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Andrew McAllister down here because he trying to beat me. We ain't giving you no advice on this show.
Okay, hold on. Let me answer this one too. Andrew, if you need 30 points and you have Dalton and Jackson left to go, you lost, buddy. It's over. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. You never know. Jackson might go off. Okay, he might go off just because we're talking about. He could go off. This is a big. Jackson. Now the good thing about our street team deal is I'm already locked in the first place, so I'm not even stressing like that. JT is first place in another one of our leagues that we have. He can't come out of that in street team. I am in the first place as a lock. I think Consuela's number 2. She was rooting for Clara to win, but that ain't going to happen, I don't think. Andrew, you're just going to have to deal with it. We'll see you in the playoffs. We'll see you in the playoffs.
Lamar gives you the best shot. Lamar is the only quarterback of the two that is capable of erasing a 30-point deficit tonight. The Cowboys don't have that firepower.
I was hoping he still would have COVID. So my fantasy player to watch is going to be Marquise Brown. What I said, I think he's going to. They're going to, because of the run game. I think we're just going to set up the Ravens are going to set up play action pass, and they're going to try to hit us over the top. And he could take 170 yards or something crazy of that nature. I don't think there's a whole lot of high end stuff here. I'm curious to hear what Tim has to say about his fantasy player to watch, but I'm going with Marquise. Tim, who you got, brother?
This might shock some people, and no, I wasn't going to say Des Bryant. That would have shocked me even more. I'm going with Zeke.
Here's
why.
I think that's fair.
We know it's been a rough run. He's only got 707 receiving yards or rushing yards and 5 scores, with 2 of those being receiving touchdowns. And he hasn't scored a touchdown in 6 games. I get it, but the carries are going to be there. And really, the last couple of games he hasn't been bad. He had 103 yards and a receiving TD against Minnesota. And that's why you keep playing him. We know Baltimore stuffed Pittsburgh last week, and they've only allowed 8 touchdowns on the ground this year. But Zeke. I think he's going to get his carries tonight, and I see him with at least 1 score tonight. I don't know if it'll be on the ground or in the air. Depends on how they decide to use him in the offense this week. But I think he'll have at least 1 touchdown tonight.
Does he fumble?
I see a fumble, not lost. I'm going back into the psychic brain here, and I'm looking. I see a fumble, not lost, and then I see what we'll call a receiving touchdown tonight.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm good with that. So let's finish this up with these picks, because the game's going to be kicking off here in a little bit. Who you guys really got to win the game? We've laid it all out. Strong running game. I guess on both sides, maybe. I don't know if we can call the Cowboys game strong, but I do think they'll be able to throw the ball on them a little bit, as JT said, quick passes. Got a very strong Ravens defense who's going to try to create some havoc for our quarterback. And then Andy Dalton on our side. So let's pick the line, not who wins and loses. Let's pick the line. 8.5 points. Who wins this game tonight with the points?
Let me tell you what's going to happen. So I think Dallas comes out early, fighting hard with the fresh legs. They may go on a couple of scoring drives early to make it a game, make it interesting. And then I just feel like the Ravens running game is going to kick in at some point. Baltimore's going to probably run for 200 yards on the ground. They're going to shut things down for the Cowboys in the second half. And it might get ugly. I've got the Ravens 24-14, which means they're going to cover that 8.5 point spread.
Ooh, we almost had the same score. I had Ravens 24-13 covering and taking the under.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I'm taking the Ravens to cover as well. I think it will be about a 10-point game, 13-point game as well. I think we'll run out of gas. We might catch a few more injuries and some big plays. Like you said, I'm very worried about the Ravens defense creating some turnovers, some big hits, and, pick one up off the ground and take it back for a touchdown.
That's my first bet. That will happen.
Yep. And that way I'm hoping at that point that they keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands so Andrew McAllister cannot beat me. They just give it to J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram and the rest of those guys, and it let me keep my winning streak alive. So, hey, man, this has been really good, man. I like this. Y'all hit that like button, man. If y'all like this, leave us some more comments. We're going to be back on in an hour, right, fellas? It's going to be about an hour.
Central Time.
We're going to be back on in an hour.
Yeah. So if the game's out of question, out of hand already at 8 o'clock, which, man, that'd be really early. We're talking probably midway through the second quarter, maybe.
That's about right.
Yeah, at that point. But if things are out of hand, or if you're bored and you want to tune back into us at 8 p.m. for the normal Teague's Take podcast, please do so on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. And if for some reason you're all into the game, but you want to hear about the show, we've got the great David Smoke on tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of Big 12, some high school football, some stuff that he's done in the past. That guy's had a website since 2001. Were you aware of that, George?
Oh, since 2001?
Since 2001. He has had Smokey.com, his website, since 2001, talking sports. He's been all over Central and East Texas on the ESPN stations, and guy's been around the block, so it's going to be exciting talking to him. And then we'll get into some more stuff in the second half. But yes,
don't forget that if you do decide to forego the live show in favor of the Cowboys game, you can still find us on your favorite podcast app.
Yep, that's where I was going. If you don't want to watch it live, but you want to hear what we had to say, just go to your favorite podcast app. Make sure you leave us a good review. Head over to georgeteague.com. You can find the episode there as well as information about some upcoming guests on future shows. But for everybody that's been a part of this one, I am IndyCar Tim. He is George. He is JT. Make sure you tune in to, NFL Network, I guess, and Amazon Prime for Tuesday Night Football until 8 p.m. We'll see you guys later, and go Cowboys.